Hello, current and aspiring IT professionals. This is Nick, and I'm back with another video, this time to talk about something that is, I think, quite an important skill when it comes to technology, whether this is working in a traditional sysadmin role, as a sysengineer, as a developer, really all of those. And it's the ability to concentrate on a single problem for an extended period of time, right? So, single tasking effectively versus multitasking. And all of these jobs, I think less maybe with development, if you're in sort of a pure development role, because people are usually better about giving you a solid chunk of time to work with. But even there, and this is still certainly true with development, but especially when you're on the IT and the operations side of the house, one of the biggest problems that we're going to have is interrupts, right? So people interrupting us and causing us to context switch. So if you're not aware, there's something known as a context switching penalty, where it takes you quite a bit of time to sort of get your brain into the correct mode to work on a particular problem, right? So really the big issue is you're working on an issue, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. You could be writing a script, you could be troubleshooting a problem with the web servers, whatever it is, right? But you're working on a project, it's going to take you some time, right? So this is not a really simple thing. This is something that's going to go take you a good amount of time to figure out. Or it could be sort of a stack of similar kind of tasks, right? You get a bunch of tickets, we're going to go do user creation, right? So you're going to go create new users or something like that. Whatever it is, but they're sort of related and you're in kind of one mode, right? If somebody knocks on your door and then says, hey, I need to ask you a question real quick, even if it's a really simple question, it's going to take you a few minutes to kind of get back in the mode of doing whatever you were doing after that question's over, right? When I worked at Microsoft, one of the great things that company does, and I think this is, not exclusive to them, that's done in other places, which is if you put a sticky on your door, right? So you get an office, you put a sticky on the door that says email only. It is email only. Like if unless there's like a fire in the building or something like massively wrong, where like somebody like needs to interrupt you because safety or something like that's at risk, it's email only. Because the idea is you're saying that I'm getting into the zone and I'm working on a difficult project. Leave me alone. That tends to be less with IT. We don't necessarily get that level of respect with IT. But this is not going to be sort of about managing those kind of interrupts. What it's going to be about doing is context switching and sort of putting yourself in a method of working that allows you to crank through good chunks of kind of work at a time and not be interrupted by some of the kind of just normal day-to-day stuff, email, web browsing, all the kind of stuff that you would normally want to go do. All right, we're going to try to sort of look at a methodology, look at a mechanism that you can use, that anybody can use to try to be more efficient in how you work. And it's something that I learned through not any of my tech friends actually, but from some artist friends of mine. So I do art as a hobby. I try to do it at a reasonably high level, so I hang out with people that are better at art than I am. And I picked up on a tool that a lot of them use, and I ended up starting to use this a little bit when I'm working on projects. So it's called the Pomodoro Method. So if you're not familiar with it, which is pretty likely, being that it's not the most commonly known thing in the world, it is pretty widely used though. The Pomodoro Method is a technique that a gentleman came up with. Let me go switch over my desktop real quick and log into my Linux VM. And if you notice here, I'm in GNOME right now as opposed to windowmaker, which is sort of one of my, I don't know if I have a sort of massively strong preference on Windows Manager, but I tend to use windowmaker the most. So the Pomodoro method, or the Pomodoro technique, is a time management method that was created by this guy, uh, Francisco Cerrillo. I actually think I think that may be wrong. This is his website. No, okay, so it is Francisco Cerrillo. I thought he had a different last name. So the idea is really, really simple. So this is the Wikipedia page on it. You can go check this out if you want to. And I'll also go ahead and pull up his page. But the steps are really simple. Decide on the task that you're going to go work on. You then go set the Pomodoro timer, and it's called the Pomodoro timer because they actually had a sort of like a kitchen timer, like an egg timer kind of thing that you could go set. Really simple. So the idea was there's really very, very, very little technology that you need to go do this. So obviously, with us being in tech, we're probably going to go use a script or something like that to go notify us. But here, we've got a little Pomodoro kitchen timer. So the idea is you set this to some interval of time. By convention, it's 25 minutes. You might want to go adjust that to be longer or shorter, just depending on you and how you end up, working on things. So we're then going to go ahead and work on the task for that duration of time. And then when the timer rings, we then go ahead and put a check mark on a piece of paper, right? We also take a little break, right? So if you have fewer than 4 check marks, take a short break and then go to step 2, right? So, you're looking at maybe a 5-minute break or a couple minutes, something like that. Maybe you get up and grab a cup of coffee and you come back, right? But not a long break, right? So if we've got 4 breaks, then we go ahead and take a longer break. So really, really simple. All right, so very straightforward to go ahead and do. This is this guy's sort of main website, and he kind of goes through the same steps and talks about how this works. And you can do this really, really simply, right? So you can go ahead and have a timer on your phone, do that. Works well. You can also go ahead and install some packages for this. So if we go ahead and go pull up a new tab here. So I've got a new tab, and if I do a zipper SE, because I'm on SUSE, I can do a search for Pomodoro. And you'll see that there'll be some timers that show up. There's some other ones, but if we go look at what's available, we have one common one, which is gnome-pomodoro. So that's the reason why I switched to GNOME for this video, is just so I could go ahead and demo this. So if I decide to go ahead and run gnome-pomodoro, it's a pretty straightforward little utility. Let me go maximize my desktop real here. And we'll go ahead and minimize this, so we can go ahead and get to our application menu. And you can go see that we've got Pomodoro installed. So I can go ahead and launch that. And we can go ahead and just start play. And this is going to go for 25 minutes. And then it's going to go give us a break. And we'll be pretty much all set. So really, really simple kind of little utility. If you want to go use this is a great way to go ahead and do it. So boom, you're good to go. If you are on another version, or not another version of Linux, but if you're on a different desktop, so if you're on windowmaker or something else that doesn't have support for gnome-notify, right? So it, like the gnome notification kind of thing, that may not work. So I'll show you a little script that I wrote. I'll just do a vi pomo.sh. And let me go ahead and reduce the size of this so you can go ahead and see a little bit easier. So this is a dead simple little script. Feel free to go ahead and steal this. I think what I'll probably do is I'll go put this on my GitHub if anybody wants to go ahead and use it. And basically what we do is we set an interval, right? So the interval is going to be 4, right? Our work duration is going to be, I set it for 5 just for this demo. Normally this would be 25, right? So for real life, go set that to 25, and then you're going to go ahead and have that sort of configured. Also, the other thing that you'd want to go ahead and do is these are all in seconds right now, so you can go convert it to minutes. So I just sort of whipped this together as kind of a quick demo to show the kind of thing that you might go do. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can go do this. So I'm going to go ahead and use Zenity. So Zenity just pops up a notification window. So you can. This is great little utility you can go use from a script. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to go do this. So feel free to take this as inspiration and then go make your own script if you'd like to go use this. One of the things I like about this is a very intrusive script. It's going to go pop up a window like directly in the middle of your desktop, and it's going to tell you, hey, you got to go to this. So we do Zenity. We're going to go pop up an info box, and then we're going to go ahead and have a text message, right? So this is the first part about it. So then what we go do is we do an infinite loop. So while true, right? So this is just going to go run until you Control-C to exit out of here. Then what we're going to go do is we're going to do a little for loop. So we're going to go do for I, and this is typically the way that I write for loops. There's, other ones for, I equals, 0, I is less than, some number, I plus plus. You can do it that way too if you prefer. I typically use the sequence command, which basically just does a sequence of 1 to some number. I don't know why I do it that way. That's the way I do it. So we're then going to go sleep the work duration. So in this case, it's going to be 5 seconds. Normally this would be 5 minutes. Very simple. If you want to go convert this to minutes, you just go ahead and multiply it out by 60, right? So 5 times 60 or 25 times 60. So you'll be good to go. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is say, if I is equal to 4, then the message is take a long break, right? So we're going to go take our 20-minute break. And this is just going to be, pretty simple. We're then going to go ahead and have else the message is take a standard break, right? So that's what our normal message is. And then we end our if statement, and then we go ahead and do the notify command, right? So obviously this requires you to have Zenity installed, but you can just go ahead and install that and you'll be good to go. So at that point, it then does a sleep, and then we go ahead and, have our long break done, and then we can come back, right? In fact, I could go ahead and add another one here, which we could do is message, so we can change this to get back to work. So if I then go ahead and run this, you can go ahead and see, and actually let me go do it this way so you can see what it's doing. I'll do a bash -x. So if you're not familiar with doing a lot of bash scripting stuff, X is going to go show you each step that it takes. It's sort of like a nice little built-in kind of debugging kind of thing. So we can go ahead and see our intervals. It's set to 4, work duration is 5, so forth and so on. And then we can go see our little pop-up window that says take a 5, right? So I hit OK, and then we go ahead and continue on. We're then going to go sleep for, our break. Comes back up again. We do the same thing again, right? And then this just kind of continues until we get to our 4th break, when that's going to go tell us to do the long break, right? And then the idea here is, all right, now we got to our 4th break. We then go take a 20. This is going to go sleep 20, and then it's going to go restart the cycle all over again. So pretty straightforward idea. Nothing too fancy. I'm going to go Control-C out of there because you've basically seen the sort of the general idea of how this is going to go ahead and work. And I think it's a really, really useful method. It may not be for everybody. There's other ways to go ahead and sort of do time management stuff, but I think that's one potential, decent one that I think a number of people are not familiar with. So I wanted to go show that to you guys. And the idea is, during that 5-minute break that you have, you could then go check your email really quickly. But that's the period of time that you check your email. And then you go back and sort of do your normal work, or you just sort of step away from it. And then during that 20-minute break, the idea is you legitimately take a break. You don't do some other kind of work, right? No, you completely switch off. You check, Reddit, you go on Slashdot, you go over and you talk with a colleague, you get a coffee, whatever it is. You take like a full-on 20-minute break. And the idea is not only are you sort of taking a break, but you're also letting the sort of subconscious of your brain kind of go through some of the stuff that you were just looking at. And then when you come back from that 20-minute break, it will, hopefully allow you to sort of come up with some sort of new stuff and be able to more effectively, resolve your issue or sort of figure out the problem that you're working on. So I think it's a neat idea. I'd love to know from you guys if you have other techniques or tools that you guys are currently using. do you guys do something like the Pomodoro technique already? Is it, something like this? Or do you just go ahead and write it down on a piece of paper? Do you use like a little timer? Do you actually use like a Pomodoro timer? Like what are your methods for time management? Because this is only one of them. And I think time management is a really, really critical skill when it comes to really any job. But technology, it's one of those things that people oftentimes don't pay as much attention to as I think they really should. Time management and interpersonal communication stuff are, I think, probably two of the biggest skills that people in tech ignore. And unfortunately, those are really super important skills. I think one of the reasons why I've been, fairly successful in my career has been not that I'm the best in terms of technology. I've certainly met a lot of people that are smarter than me. But what I am good at is communicating. So I'm good enough at technology. I can, write code. I can, troubleshoot issues. I can do all the kind of stuff that you would want to go do at a pretty high level. And I can talk about it. So I can talk to people who may not necessarily speak technology kind of stuff. And I can also sort of try to go figure out what the critical information that I need to know is, so you can have that happen where someone's really, really good at technology, but they misunderstand the why we're doing this. And then they spend way too much time on the wrong kind of area of a project, things like that. Anyway, I'm going to get off topic if I kind of keep going down that road. But I hope this was useful for you. I think that whatever method you use, time management is a really important skill to work on. So I'd love to hear what you guys come up with to go do that. And if you'd like to go see more videos like this, where I talk about IT, technology, and career stuff, you can give little tips and techniques like this, click the subscribe button down below. It's, one click, not that big of a deal. And you get to see more of these videos, where not only do you get to learn tips and techniques about Linux, you get to look at me, which will probably make you feel more attractive about yourself, because by comparison, I'm sure you're a handsome, attractive fella, and probably better looking than I am. So you get both. You get a system in kind of tips and techniques, and you get a self-esteem boost. Yeah, right. That's most of you guys are fairly young. You're not going bald yet. I don't know if this is going to upsell anybody, but yeah, check out more videos. I'd love to go ahead and see what you guys do and work on in the past. So take care, you guys. I'll see you in the next video, and have a great rest of your day.